waiting on. 1, 2. Good afternoon, USC.
Good afternoon, Miss Swanson.
So for the last 3 days actually, we've been talking about both the separation of powers and checks and balances in our government. Bless you, separation of powers and checks and balances. So for your do now today, it asked you, what is different about them? So there are two things that are very similar, but there is a little bit of a difference. Before you tell me, can you go ahead and lock it up with your neighbor? And can you tell your neighbor what you are thinking? Make sure that you are giving them eye contact, you are turning to look at them, you are smiling, it'll probably make them feel better. And you've got about 30 seconds to share what you were thinking for your do now. Go ahead.
Separation of powers and checks and balances. Separation of checks and balances, checks and balances. Separation of three branches.
So that's okay, separate, right? Separation into three. Checks and balances, you have two. You can stop.
They don't have this
USC, go ahead and give me 5. Can we start trying to figure out this question? How are they different? So can we go ahead and can we start tracking Jeffrey, please? I heard you had a really good idea. Jeffrey, can you tell us what were you and Isaac talking about for the difference between the two?
They have 3 powers.
Okay, so our government has 3 powers. Is that separation of powers or is that checks and balances? Separation of powers. So they were talking about separation of powers means we have 3 different powers in our government. What can we add on to that to get a better idea of this question? Can we track ourselves over to Imani? Imani, what can we add on to that?
Thank you, Ms. Swanson. The difference is that checks and balances is just when one of the branches puts another one back, they limit their power.
Okay.
And separation of powers is just that they're separated, so they all have an equal amount of power, so they don't cause tyranny.
Okay, I like that. So separation of powers tells me I've got 1, I've got 2, and I've got 3. Checks and balances tells me that 1, 2, and 3 can all say, no, stop, you're doing the wrong thing, to the other one. They can balance it. Anything else we want to add into this question? Can we turn our track to Amber, please? Amber, what else?
Thank you, Ms. Swanson. I agree with Imani, but on the other hand, they created the 3 branches because we won't have tyranny.
Okay, so the 3 branches stop us from having tyranny. And Amber, my brain isn't working today. It's Thursday. Can you remind me what tyranny is?
Thank you, Ms. Swanson. Tyranny is unlimited.
Like unlimited what? Like unlimited cookies?
Unlimited government.
Can someone help her out? She has the right word, but not the right second word. So unlimited what? Amber, have a teammate help you.
Thank you, Amber. Tyranny is when a country is ruled by one person, a king or dictator who has all the power.
Okay, so they have unlimited power, unlimited power. So both of these help me make sure that our government doesn't have unlimited power. They can't do whatever they want to do. Because if they could do whatever they wanted to do, Do you think they'd spend their time doing good things for you and for me?
No.
Probably not. So we have to have something to make sure they stay in check. Very quickly before we look today, can you remind me, we've said separation of powers and there are 3. What are those 3 again? What are my 3 branches again? What are my 3 branches one more time? Okay, 3, my 3. Can we track Jesus? Jesus, give me 1. And who is in the judicial branch, Jesus? Okay, the 9 justices of the Supreme Court. Astrid, what is my other branch? What is my other branch, honey? What is my other branch, honey? The executive branch. And who is in the executive branch? The president. So I've got the judicial with the court, the legislative with the president. Ashley, give us our last one. Take it home. The legislative branch. And Ashley, who is in the legislative branch? The Congress. And bonus points for anyone who can tell me who are the 2 people that make up Congress. Who are the 2 people that make up Congress? Who makes up Congress? We track ourselves to Fernando. Fernando, who makes up Congress?
Thank you, Ms. Swanson. House of Representatives and Senate.
The House of Representatives. Fantastic. Well, let's go ahead and take a look at what we are doing today. Can I have someone read our aim for class today? Our aim for class today. Actually, can you go ahead and read that for us, please?
Thank you, Ms. Swanson. Kipsters will be able to describe the Bill of Rights.
Kipsters will be able to describe the Bill of Rights. I am super excited about what we are going to learn about today because these are so important to you and your life, whether or not you know it. Because if we didn't have this thing called the Bill of Rights, your life might look very, very different. So we're going to see what they are. So there are 3 things that I want you to keep in the back of your mind for what you need to be able to tell me before you leave today. So by the end of the day, here are the things you should be able to do. Can somebody read me the first thing you should be able to do? The first thing we should be able to do. Go ahead, Odalis.
Thank you, Ms. Swanson. Tell me what
amendment. Tell me what an amendment is. So obviously we're going to learn a new word today that we need to know. So Odalis says, tell me what an amendment is. Erica, what is the second thing I should be able to do? Tell me what the Bill of Rights are. So that, I remember Bill of Rights was in my objective, my aim. Okay, so you'll be able to do that. And Jabril, what is my third one there?
Thank you, Ms. Swanson. Civil freedoms given to Americans in the Bill of Rights.
In the Bill of Rights. So there's something about freedoms and things we can do that we're going to be looking at today in the Bill of Rights. To take your notes, they are already in your basket on your table. Freeze, look, and then do. You are going to grab out a white quarter sheet, itty bitty. You are going to glue it underneath your do now with 4 lines of glue. Yay, we have more glue. And you're going to be done in 1 minute. Go ahead. Share them out, pass them out. You guys have glue right there. Go, go, go. You got about a minute. You might cry. Hipsters, you got 30 seconds to have that glued in your notebook in front of you. I've got my front table ready to go. Looks like my Great Britain tables are there. Looks like my India tables are there. Are all my Italy tables there? Are we under time? Fantastic. Let's take a look.
Yes.
Have your pencil in your hand. And here we go. So the first thing we should think about is that when the Founding Fathers wrote the Constitution, they did that in 1787. And so our world does not look the same way it does as it did in 1787. Things are different, right? And so they knew the Constitution would never be perfect, and they knew that things would change and become different. So because they were smart enough to think like, the world's going to look different in 500 years, in 200 years, even in 10 years, they came up with a way to make changes to our rules and our laws to reflect what was going on during the time. So these changes to the Constitution are called amendments. So my first part of my note says, an amendment is the change made to the Constitution. An amendment is a change made to the Constitution. An amendment is a change made to the Constitution, made to our rules and our laws. Everyone go ahead and say the word amendment.
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 And so that actual first part of the word, amend means to change. And so I'm thinking to myself like, ooh, I heard Odalis read earlier that I needed to know this funky word that began with an A and was kind of hard to say. So does this tell me what that is?
Yes.
Yeah, so that might be something that you like need to make yourself a little note, like this is important, I need to know it later. Do that. So an amendment is a change that is made to the Constitution. There are 27 amendments in total. So over the past 250 years, our government has changed the Constitution 27 times. So they've added 27 new things into it that were not there when it was first written. And that's because things get different as time goes on. There are 27 changes, 27 amendments. The first 10 amendments, or the first 10 changes, are called the Bill of Rights. So the first 10 amendments, or the first 10 changes to the Constitution are called the Bill of Rights. So the first 10 of them are called the Bill of Rights. And the Bill of Rights are really important for us because these 10 amendments give Americans lots of different freedoms and rights. They give us very important rights and very important freedoms. And we're going to look today at what those important rights and freedoms are that you are given in the Bill of Rights. Your life might look a little different if you did not have these freedoms or you did not have these rights. And so I'm thinking to myself again too, I remember Odalis reading about, I needed to know an amendment, and who was my teammate that read about the Bill of Rights? Who read about the Bill of Rights? One of my teammates did. One of my teammates said something that I needed to know what this word meant too, the Bill of Rights. Does your note part number 3 tell you what the Bill of Rights says? Does it tell you that?
Yes.
So that might be something to mark for yourself too. If you're thinking back, like I need to know what an amendment is, I need to know what the Bill of Rights are, you've got that information right in front of you. So take time to mark it for yourself so you know what you need to come back to. So go ahead and take 30 seconds with your lockup neighbor and go ahead and tell your lockup neighbor what is an amendment and what are the Bill of Rights. If somebody came up to you on the street and said, hey, Lizbeth, what is an amendment? What are the Bill of Rights? What would you tell them? You've got 30 seconds, go. Jennifer, what is an amendment?
like are the first
27 times. I've heard about this thing called the Bill of Rights. What's that?
An amendment is a
They give us freedom, but in those 27 pages, which ones of them are the Bill of Rights? The first 10. So this part is really important. They're the Do you want to go ahead and give me 5? What is an amendment? What is an amendment? We track ourselves over to David. David, what is an amendment?
Thank you, Ms. Swanson. An amendment is a change made to the Constitution.
A change made to the Constitution. I like that. Does anyone else have another description for amendment? Or anything else they said to their neighbor as they were talking for amendment? We track ourselves over to Brenda. Brenda, what did you say with your teammates for amendment?
Ms. Swanson, the first 10 amendments are called the Bills of Rights.
Ooh, so that's getting into our next question. So all the amendments put together, the first 10 of them are called the Bill of Rights. Anything else we can add in for what is an amendment, or into my next question, what is the Bill of Rights? Can we go ahead and track ourselves over to Isaac? Isaac, what else can you add in here for us? There are 27 in total, okay? So we've changed the Constitution 27 times in total. Marcelo, give us one last idea.
Amendments are important to the Americans.
Okay, because they give us what?
Rights and freedom.
So those first 10 amendments give us rights and freedoms. And we're going to go ahead, perfectly leading us into our rights and our freedoms. So I'm finding my paper that my number 1 got me that has all 10 of our amendments on it. All 10 of our amendments. And while we have all 10 of our amendments, you can go ahead and put your pencil down. Go ahead and recheck your chair, recheck your slant. We're going to go down through 1 through 10 very quickly. So again, one more time, I'm looking at this side. And so this is like before. Today, I'm not expecting you to memorize all 10 of your amendments. That is why I gave you the list of all 10 of them. If I remember from the very beginning, how many rights or freedoms do I need to know by the end of the day? How many should I know by the end of the day? Ooh, I don't need to know 10. How many do I need to know by the end of the day? Amber, how many do I need to know by the end of the day?
Thank you, Swanson. I think it's 3.
How many do I need to know?
2.
How many do I need to know? Elizabeth, how many do I need to know?
Thank you, Ms. Swanson. 2.
I need to know 2. So I need to pick up 2 really important freedoms that I get. So let's start looking. Here are my important ones. What are my rights and my freedoms? So I'm looking at number 1. Do you see where I am? Top of your list? Number 1 says you have the right to have freedom of religion. That means you can practice any religion you want. You have the right to have freedom of speech.